Gentlemen, game number 2 of regional championship, PSJ versus Dripping Springs. The Bears versus the Tigers in an all-out classic, a rematch from last year. PSJ looking for some redemption, did a great job last night, 6-1 ball game, but Dripping Springs saw this last year and they said, hey, we know what we need to do. They saw a 3-game series 2 weeks ago against Brandis where they were able to defeat them 2-1, and this is where Dripping Springs, the question for them is, how are the boys on the bump going to be able to do here tonight? And that's going to be the interesting question. Last night, I believe we saw around 4 to 5 pitchers here coming in from Dripping Springs. Our starter coming out around the 3rd inning. And, for PSJ, the bat's able to come up big, scored early on, and from there, they never looked back. But on this beautiful Saturday evening at Coastal Bend College, PSJ alums, PSJ Unite, all in attendance here. A beautiful day, a cloud coverage here in Beeville, Texas. Well, it's just where you're going to have a regional championship. You want to be able to have the best facilities. And this is a beautiful ballpark. All turf here tonight. Going to be a turf mound once again. But the one thing I noticed early on about the turf mound here for Coastal Bend College has a bit more of an incline, kind of working your way down. So this is where for both these two pitchers, yesterday, it wasn't as tall as tonight. So now you need to work down the mound a little different, see where your arm slot is, and see what more you can get going. But the key tonight is going to be, can PSJ continue going on the hitting train? Yesterday, I believe 6 hits to the 6 of Dripping Springs. 10 to the 6 of Dripping Springs. And, for PSJ, that was kind of the key for themselves. Always finding a way to get runners on and, more importantly, moved around when they had chances in scoring position. But tonight, Blake Cox, the pitcher on the mound here tonight for Dripping Springs. The Tigers going to see how long can that arm be able to take him. Well, and they're saying, hey, can we get 7? That's kind of where the best case scenario for themselves is. They want to see them have a dominant performance up there. But, PSJ, this is where we see for the leadoff man, James Cancino, going to start things off, going to try to see what he can get going. And I'm expecting here for Cancino to kind of do what he did yesterday, and that's find a way to see himself get big opportunities. Well, for James Cancino will be TJ Ayala, JT Reina, and then Jesse Garza batting cleanup here tonight. First pitch delivery. This one popped onto the shortstop underneath it. That's going to go 1 pitch, 1 out to start things off. That's where PSJ, you cannot have early at-bats like this. You have to find a way to get deep into the count. And, Cancino may have just saw a pitch he liked, but that's going to be able to retreat him into the dugout. Well, DJ Ayala, we just said his name a second ago, and it took a second for him to get back into the box here. No balls, no strikes, 1 out in a 0-0 ball game here at the top of the 1st inning. Ayala, the righty, saw himself with some key hits yesterday, a couple big walks, and tonight we've been saying for himself, he feels that he is due. It feels like every game he's due. He's such a magnificent hitter. That's why he hits here at the 2-hole. So much speed for himself. But, we talked about the check marks to being able to take a game. And that first one, find a base runner on and move him over. Well, with 1 out, the first strike will get in there. 1 ball, 1 strike, and the ball low outside. PSJ will watch on in there. Ball on the turf in the other batter's box. Will just be that, a ball. Yeah, 2-1 now. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. And TJ Ayala has been able to watch a couple pitches. But, the key yesterday was, how deep is the bullpen here for Dripping Springs? And, when you have 5 pitchers who can come into a game the way they did, and wow, low outside on the outside part of the other batter's box, will go in there for strike number 2. Yesterday, and, we talked about it, Dripping Springs, they had their man behind the plate tonight. PSJ High having their umpire. Both these two teams, with a 4-man crew, decided for 2-2 split. Each squad choosing 2 umpires. Is a low curveball outside. We'll just get fouled on in there for ball number 2. Well, and this is where we talk a lot about the high school strike zone. And we talked to a couple umpires yesterday. They said, well, in between the plate, you want to be able to hit those corners. But they said they might even give them the line for the outside part or the inside part of the left field batter's box. Well, the lefty batter's box, that's kind of where we've seen a lot of the pitches for Dripping Springs kind of harbor on in, where they like to be able to live. And, for PSJ, this is an aggressive hitting team. They know how to be able to watch on in and find their pitch, but this is where you have to show, hey, we can drive the ball the other way. Well, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Delivery underway and an off speed in there. Change up. Going to be able to go for strike number 3. And a great off-speed pitch. And, for Ayala, he continued to be fed those balls in the outside part of the plate. And, unfortunately, just try to get around it a little too much, unable to make contact. But now JT Reyna, the starting pitcher yesterday, will be playing first base tonight. And Reyna, this is where he has found ways to continue rejuvenating this lineup for PSJ. Did he go? They're going to check him. Yes, they did. Wow, okay. A quick call. PSJ going to put the first strike here on Reyna. That's a borderline one. I did feel that he didn't break the plane, but, this is why we're behind the plate instead of near the line. Well, no balls, one strike here, 2 outs, and a foul ball backwards off the backstop. That one ricocheted quickly, so for both these two catchers, I think these two teams have to take that into consideration. Especially when you have runners on, and it's going to show you how aggressive you can be to allow those runners to try to advance and see themselves take some extra bags, but right now just trying to even get there. We're trying to find a way to even get a runner on. No balls, 2 strikes. This one may just be in the turf. And outside part of the plate, we'll call that in there for strike number 3. Well, strike number 3, they got Reyna watching. And this is going to go and put PSJ out onto the field here. Well, PSJ coming out onto the field. And now this is where George Castillo, the first baseman yesterday, will see his first time in the sun here tonight for this series. And he's been able to come in, and it's kind of been the rotation for PSJ. They have allowed him to pitch in games number 2. And, last week against Austin Westlake, didn't have too long until you saw Gael Zambrano, who closed the game last night, I believe, threw around 20 pitches. And, 115 is all you really have to your name. So you really want to see, hey, Zambrano, we saw him in game number 3. Is he going to also have one of those opportunities where he's going to be a relief tonight? I know PSJ have some other arms, but all eyes on George Castillo. Well, and I feel George Castillo, he's ready for this moment. I think if you look at him, you talk to him, he wants to be able to produce big numbers for PSJ. And, when you look at a pitcher with a great defense behind him, and we had a chance to talk to both of these coaches yesterday when we asked them, what's been impressed them so far from this defense? And, Coach, I don't know, he just says, everyone's just playing like they want it out there. They're trying to make sure they continue helping out that pitcher up on the bump and say, hey, take care of us up there. We'll take care of you back here. Let us do our job. And so far, PSJ has been able to do that throughout the playoffs. Well, and Dripping Springs as well. For Dripping Springs, their coach and Coach Payne said our boys are hungry out there on the defensive side. The 7 behind the pitcher, they want to be able to help get those assists, help pick them up, and more importantly, help them get out of innings. But inning number 1, bottom of it, Dripping Springs will have a similar lineup as to yesterday. And it's going to be where I'm expecting for Dripping Springs. They had a chance to analyze, Sam Brennan. He didn't have too much, but a very dangerous hitter nonetheless. Well, for Brennan, we saw him yesterday with multiple opportunities. And it's one where he fouled off a couple shots into foul ball territory, but we're not able to see anything land. But, this is where for Dripping Springs, they need to see themselves use that speed. And, that speed is something that they've really been able to really showcase. And, for PSJ, we're able to throw them out at home. They try to get a little too aggressive. Yeah, it was a play from, third and first here. The runner from first base took off. And, we saw the third baseman and Ethan Olivares kind of check him, fake the throw to first base, and saw that runner taking off the home. They were able to grab him. So, those type of heads-up plays and being able to be smart on the defensive side is what really makes the entire difference. But the difference on who's going to take this ball game will be answered as these innings go by. But the bottom of the first coming up, as well as the leadoff batter in Branyan, going to have his first attempts here against Castillo. And we'll see what Castillo kind of implements. We saw him kind of use his off-speed a lot against Austin Westlake for strikes. And, starting off early off into counts to be able to come into the hands and not really see these hitters have too much opportunities to find something they like. But, when you have a lefty coming up the bat here, you're kind of just having to say, hey, can we work inside to his hand, especially off a lefty-lefty duel? Well, lefty-lefty duel last night. Dripping Springs saw the right arm of JT Reyna. Reyna was able to pitch 9 innings until Gael's 7 innings. I'm sorry. Yeah, 9 strikeouts is what we were trying to kind of come in there. And when you have a 9 strikeout type of game, what potentially can go right for yourself, and what the tendency is on how you want to attack some of these batters. As a foul ball bunt, that's going to go for a strike towards the third base side. And that's what we're talking about, the speed of Dripping Springs. They're trying to show it off, especially for the leadoff batter. Anyway on, they see Olivares right now playing a bit back, so try to catch him sleeping, put a soft bunt down the third base line and try to see if you can step it out there at first base. But not much to show there besides strike number one. Well, no balls, one strike, no outs here to the leadoff man. Castillo, fastball in there for strike number two. Well, 2 quick strikes. That's what you want to be able to live inside the zone. And, Olivares now has 3 to play with. I'm expecting an off-speed in the turf. This is where Garza going to have to watch out. At a hard shot to the center fielder. Tracked on in. Brought on in. James Cancino for out number 1. Cancino didn't even have to move an inch. It seemed that he was going to react and said, hey, this is right to me. Don't need to move my feet, make my life easier, and to bring up the second batter here for the Drip. Well, Dripping Springs now will bring up Jake Pardue, their third baseman. Pardue, I believe, got hit by a pitch yesterday, saw a walk and a strikeout, and the ball upstairs will go for ball number 1. Just high up into the zone. You see him starting off playing with the eyes. I'm expecting a low off speed, or at least a low part of the plate on this next fastball. Try to see if he can get himself just fishing out. And a low outside pitch. That's going to go in there for strike number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. One's all over the board here in a 0-0 ball game. And that's kind of the tendencies that you're trying to live at. And, for Castillo, you have a lot right now that you can try to get through. And a foul ball just going to bring in strike number 2. Well, strike number 2. 1 ball, 2 strike on the board right now. And this is still a huge pitcher's count. And, for Castillo, we talked a lot about the off speed, his ability to work in that changeup as well as that curveball. They have been working out well. And, the ability to mix up the speeds. Try to see if you can get Dripping Springs. Kind of swing and miss here. Well, talking about a swing and miss, that one fouled off softly. Will just go near the third base dugout. That will keep him alive in this count. 1 ball, 2 strikes to a second batter of the night. And it's a beautiful day here at Joe Hunter Field. And, for Coastal Bend College, it's kind of where you're saying, hey, you guys have a great ballpark out here. Well, the farther we get into the playoffs, we always say the tougher the competition is, the nicer the scenery. We have some great ballparks back there in the RGV, especially for PSG High. You look at that field, an absolute classic, but it's nice being able to travel. Well, traveling with 2-2. Did he go? No, he did not, they will say. That was a good call. I feel that was more of an obvious no-go than earlier on, but unfortunately, PSJ, their fan base, they wanted that call. Well, of course, you have one our way, you want one their way, but this will just bring up 3 balls, 2 strikes. Delivery, did he go there? Foul ball, they said. Okay. What a job. And that ball right now is just falling off the table. I would not want to see that. You saw him buckle for a second until he threw his hands out there to keep himself alive, but this is now where you have to continue protecting anything close. Well, 2-strike approach here. Opening up. Dripping Springs. Another ball low of the curveball. Won't have him swing. 60 feet down the ways. 1 out, but a runner now at first base. Dripping Springs able to get their second man on here. Well, the second man on. So now, Braden Madeley, the second baseman. The 3-hole tonight going to have a chance with a runner in on the bag. So, and this is where, we don't see the bunt opportunity gone anymore, because you're not going to bunt here to go to 2 outs with the runner at second. You want to at least have 2 chances. So when you have your 3, 4, 5 right behind you, you're kind of saying, hey, boys, swing away. Try to see what Castillo potentially give you. Well, Castillo, first pitch delivery. That one, high fly ball into the right field side. Not much room to even track it down. Yeah, and it's kind of where you look at the corners and the sides here. You have more foul ball territory here towards the dugout area, but once you get to that outfield area. You see the bullpens, you see the cages. So it's when there was a lot of real estate over there, but not enough real estate to be able to try to haul that one. Well, that's just going to go for a long strike number 1. No balls, 1 strike, 1 out here. Castillo grabbing the sign with a lefty pitcher. You do allow for those runners at first to be a bit more honest, and a bunt opportunity does come out high into the hands. Will get put down, but will be fouled. That's going to go for strike number 2. Okay, I probably just don't know what we're even thinking here. You know, up here in the booth, I'm saying, hey, there's no opportunity to really put a bunt down, but I think they like the rest of their lineup and feel that they can potentially get a hit to try to score in that runner from second. And they'll say, if we need 1 chance, we don't mind our 4-hole having that 1 chance. Well, still waiting in the wings if he will see himself with an extra runner on, or just the runner at first base. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. High outside on the outside part of the plate will just go for ball number 1. And a good miss. That right there is a borderline miss where, you know, maybe a frame here, a frame there, even a call here from the back umpire. You might see that one kind of get cashed in for strike number 3. Well, it's trying to see what more to cash in through. Castillo, this one belted hard towards the right field side, but foul. We'll keep things at a 12 count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner at first base in a 0-0 ball game here at the bottom of the first. And a quick time call. Yeah, a quick time call. Looks like they're going to have the rosin bag not behind the mound here. And that's it. That could be a little bit where for this batter, it could be a distraction. So great job here by the plate umpire to be able to recognize that. Have Castillo move that over and bring this game right back into action. Well, back into the action. Runner still at first base. Dripping Springs tried to bunt him over with 1 strike. That's going to go for ball 2. Jake Pardue, the third baseman right now, trying to see if he can see himself advancing off the second. But a 2-2 count. And this is where George Castillo. These are those counts where you have to put up and put down. It's uber important to be able to grab this next strike. And you want to find ways to help out that defense, but even if you find a way to get a easy pop-up and a curveball broke into the zone, we asked for a strike. He delivered on a platter. George Castillo serves up out number 2. Whew, what a chance there from Castillo. The breaking ball, the batter, he wanted nothing to do with that. Even when it was a called strike, he said, wait a minute. No, that was a beautiful strike. And that's one of those where you have to be confident. You have to start feeling dominant. And now with 2 strikes, you're facing a 4-hole. Well, this is kind of what we saw for Dripping Springs yesterday. They saw themselves being able to get to the portion of the lineup. Yes, sir, he did. That's going to go upstairs. Swing and a miss for strike number 1. So strike number 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dripping Springs has Purdue steal here. They did it yesterday with 1 strike with 2 outs. They may want to allow, if they get out at second base, for this batter to come back up and start off the inning. But what will happen, throw back to first, as Castillo may have been feeling in his spidey senses. Yeah, I think he started saying, all right, there's something going on here. I can kind of feel the game shifting a little bit. And just trying to keep that runner honest, not give him too much of a lead where it's going to help Z Garza out a little bit if you see him taking off. Well, if they expect that runner to take off, we may just see another high fastball upstairs to help Garza on the pop-up. As no balls, 1 strike, watching at the runner at first. And a delivery, that one, fastball on the outside part of the plate. Wow, and no call there. Okay, and that's just one where it's an unfortunate miss. And we saw in PSJA when they were batting, that location, that exact location was being marked as a strike. So, early on in innings, you're just trying to find where this blue likes it. Well, every blue different. And the quick throw, breaking ball, that one will be called in for strike. And that one just saw itself teetering right back down in the zone on the break. And magnificent job there to be able to get that one. But what do you go with now? 1 ball, 2 strike. Well, this is where you're not focused on that runner at first anywhere. The out is at the plate. That's how you have to think as a pitcher. So I would still say fastball outside. I don't think we would do a curveball here just in case for potential ball into the turf. And a changeup outside. Benya in time. JT Reyna able to get that one at first base for out number 3. That's exactly what you want to do. PSJ, they leave a runner stranded at first base, do a great job in Castillo of finding ways to let this defense work at the end, especially a big strikeout for out number 2. PSJ rolling as they're going to walk themselves back into the dugout. Jesse Garza looking to lead things off when we get back from this quick commercial break.
Hello, PSJ team. Our district works hard every day to protect our students and ensure the safety of everyone on campus. Your role as teachers and staff is just as important. We rely on you to monitor your surroundings, stay observant, and report anything unusual or concerning immediately. Your partnership is essential in maintaining a safe environment. In the event of an emergency, know that we have protocols in place to address it. The most important things you can do are remain calm, follow our safety procedures, and stay informed through official PSJ updates. Panicking and spreading rumors or unverified information only creates confusion and can hinder emergency response efforts. Sharing false information, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can also have serious consequences. Trust the process, avoid sharing unverified information, and keep open lines of communications with your colleagues and leadership. Together we can ensure the safety and well-being of our students and staff.
You wanted action. We're back in here, ladies and gentlemen. Coastal Bend College here at Joe Hunter Field for the regional championship. PSJ High find themselves coming up to the top of the second here tonight. Jesse Garza will lead things off. And Jesse Garza, we've been saying it, he's due. Every time he comes up to bat, you know there's an opportunity for damage. And this is where for himself, he's just saying, if I can get on and use my speed, I'm more than happy to see myself there in those opportunities. Now Jesse Garza followed by Zeke Garza. Then Matthew Aswada is the current potential order here for the next 3 batters. But no balls, no strikes. And a 0-0 ball game. High pop up. PSJA for 2 innings in a row. Swing at a first pitch for a first pitch out. Yeah, when we saw from James Cancino, he had the same type of opportunity, but flew out towards the same side, and unfortunately, Jesse Garza unable to do much there. Well, Garza was only able to see one, but now it'll be Zeke Garza, the catcher here tonight. He'll have his first attempt, another lefty, and this is the part of the lineup for PSJ where it gets kind of tricky for a lot of pitchers because you go lefty, lefty, and guess what? Another lefty. So it's extremely tough to be able to do that, especially as a righty pitcher. But no balls, 1 strike, low outside pitch will be able to get called on in there. Well, no balls, 1 strike, 1 out. And did he go? Will he say it? Trying to check, and they do get him. And that one was a bit more obvious than the last. And unfortunately for Zeke Garza, low changeup tried to be able to stop the trigger, but unable to. Well, now having to protect. No balls, 2 strikes. May not see one in the zone whatsoever. And a swing and a miss. Low changeup once again. That's going to go for strike number 3. And what a job right now from this pitcher in Blake Cox. Cox right here has been able to just pump that ball through him and using his ability to change things up. Has a good fastball. Yeah, it's a good fastball. I think we saw quicker pitching yesterday, but it's still where the ability to change speeds is something that Cox is starting to master, especially here at the high school level. As a foul ball, this one behind the third base dugout. Won't see itself getting anywhere near. Matthew Aswada moves out. That one would have belted him on the thigh. Hey, man, if I'm Aswada, like we said yesterday, I am taking everything. But that kind of shows you the mentality of these PSJ batters. They don't want easy bases. They don't want anything for free. They want to earn their ability to get on the bag so they can show this pitcher that, hey, I earned this. I got this off of you, and you got to see me next time. Well, right now, 1-1. And a swing and a miss, low outside. That's going to go for strike number 2. Wheeling and dealing right now. Cox is being able to just dominate on the mound. And we talked a little bit about, how often or how quickly are you going to be able to adjust onto a different pitch here in terms of the mound height. But he's comfortable. Well, ball on the turf. That's going to go for a 2-2 count now. Still having one pitch to play with. Dripping Springs here. Their defense hasn't had to do much so far. And it's just been a couple fly balls. But that's something what PSJ were able to do, and that's being able to put solid contact. Make this defense make the routine. As a routine fly ball down to left field, jogging in, grabbing through, and that's going to go for out number 3. Well, 3 up, 3 down once again. PSJ's defense going to have to defend as the boys in white pinstripes will see themselves right back on the defensive side. Well, the maroon and white versus the white and maroon here. And now for Dripping Springs, this is where you're trying to see, can we get on Castillo quickly? And now they'll see their 5-hole coming up and a very similar opportunity as yesterday. But we'll see. What is the current conversation like on that mound? And I think it's where Zeke Garza, when we talked to him in the dugout, especially saying, hey, we were able to do some good work there. Don't worry about some of the balls that we were able to give up and allow a runner to get on for free. No, we just need to continue doing our game plan, and that's just been start off with a first pitch strike. A lot of it on the first pitch has been a breaking ball to kind of see themselves either get something easy for this infield to be able to grab or a high fly ball deep into the outfield for an easy out. But any way you're able to manufacture these outs, they're good ways. Well, yesterday, hits came, runs didn't until the last portion of the game, and PSJ, it was the second inning where we saw themselves really start getting going. But, for Dripping Springs, they didn't see their first run till the 7th, had an opportunity with bases loaded. Pass ball, brought that runner in, then a runner at second and third. But unfortunately for themselves, saw a strikeout to end the night, and that kind of was a narrative of what kind of closed out what it could have been even more of a blockbuster fest. Well, and Dripping Springs, they make the games easy. And when you get to the Elite 8, it does not get any easier. And if you can find ways to really put yourself in positions to, get small hits here, get small hits there to lead into big outcomes, that's where you want to live in the playoffs. And, for both these two squads, they know they have long ball possibility. JT Reina saw a home run yesterday to open up the scoreline to put it to 6. PSG was leading 4-0, but that continued to give them a big cushion. But what will the cushion look like? PSG right back into the action. Bottom of the second. First pitch delivery, foul ball back into the hands of fastball. Unable to get around it. Will go for strike number 1. No balls, 1 strike here to the leadoff man. The 5-hole, the 5, 6, 7 currently coming up in the DH. Cruz McBride. As ball on the turf will just be looked at for ball number 1. Well, even count now, 1-1. As currently Cruz McBride, Eli Leamer, and Bobby Wilkinson will have their chance this inning. And a high pitch into the eyes will go for ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike to the DH here. And right now, for McBride, this is where, as a batter, especially a leadoff, you're trying to watch as many as you can and doing a good job so far. 4 pitches for himself. This at bat, 3 balls, 1 strike currently. And now for Castillo having to give him something. Well, having to try to find a strike any way he can. And foul ball backwards. That's going to bring up a full count here. 3 balls, 2 strikes here to the leadoff man in McBride. Well, McBride, this is where he's trying to see himself walk down the aisle and say, hey, I want to be able to commit to this next pitch. I want something I can really handcuff. And a curveball off. Potentially the elbow guard of McBride will just go for a hit by pitch, allow himself to scamper down 60 feet to first base. Well, now Dripping Springs, a bunt's coming, and we all know that here. I would be very surprised if it doesn't happen. They showed to do it even with 1 out, and where we were kind of questioning of why would you want to have a runner at second base with 2 outs and want to give yourself 1 chance. They said if we can put runners in scoring position, we trust this lineup deep to be able to get it done. Well, we talked to the coach, and Coach Payne for Dripping Springs. We say, Coach, you're missing Steele. He's one of your studs here. And he says, what are you talking about, studs? Everybody on this team's a stud. And the throw to first in time there. That's going to go for out number 1. As a runner will advance to second base. So doing the job there, pushing him over. As Dripping Springs now have a runner in scoring position there at second base. Bobby Wilkinson, the first baseman, can try and see what Castillo's able to give him. Yeah, and Wilkinson right here, the 7-hole, and we see what he can come in with. And yesterday was one of those where we talked about the hits. I believe he had one of them. And he will just watch in there for ball number 1. Well, 1 ball, no strikes here. 1 out now. Play at first base here for PSJ. Check 2, goal 1 will be what the defense is currently looking for. And if he doesn't take off originally, that first baseman in Reina has a gun. So he can throw that ball across the diamond, try to see if he can get that runner there at third base. Well, I'm going to have quick exchanges, and if they find a way to get that here, that would go take a double play and get them out of this inning. Well, especially with 1 out. But PSJ, we saw them do a great job being able to play defense with runners on yesterday. As 1's all over the board, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Inside part of the plate will not be called. Interesting there. I felt that ball was right in the perfect zone for an inside part of the plate. But, unfortunately for Castillo, just won't get the call there. As the righty-lefty duel continues. 2 balls, 1 strike here. Castillo, delivery. Upstairs, no, wow. Okay, surprising, ladies and gentlemen. Thankfully, it's an audio-only broadcast. You don't have to watch the calls that are happening. Yeah, and it's just kind of saying, hey, take it from us. We're behind the plate, but, man, those look good. Well, look good, but aren't good enough. 3 balls, 1 strike here. Castillo having to battle in with a strike. Similar location, different outcome. Hey, that's all you ask for. That ball is strike there. Beautiful job being able to get through, and that's going to bring up a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Well, 3-2 now. Castillo could be huge here to get a strike. Well, exactly, and this are those moments where, as a pitcher, these are where you really want to relish. As a high fly ball out to Nathan Pena. Camps under it. Able to grab it. Use the defense to make it easy. That's going to go for out number 2. Well, 2 outs now. When Castillo able to get a soft lofter. Got that ball to a position where Pena didn't have to do much. And that's going to bring up 2 outs. Runner at second base. As Cash Nelson, the catcher tonight, did not catch yesterday. But, and this is kind of where, for Dripping Springs, we talk about their enormous roster for one, and it's where you're saying, hey, I like this catcher, I like this pitcher duel, and this tandem, and they work together, and that's when you start seeing teams with the depth. That's when things start to get interesting, especially because you don't know what you're going to see game in, game out. Well, right now, first ball seen for ball number 1. 1-0 count, pitch down to Pena. Hauls it in and able to get through. Out number 3, PSJ. They strand a runner at second base. Dripping Springs unable to move him over. Had a bunt opportunity, but that's all they saw. The boys in white pinstripes will find themselves walking right back into the dugout. They'll have the bats here as we get to the top of the 3rd. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, here for KTRI.
At PSJ, heroes don't wear capes. They wear aprons, ID badges, and walkie-talkies. They show up before the sun rises and they stay long after the final bell rings. They do not fly through the skies, but they do move mountains for our students. One meal, one lesson, one ride, one smile at a time. This is more than a job. This is our mission. And together, we're a united force. So as we launch into the new year, let's rise, let's lead, let's unite. PSJA, assemble.
Top of the third, we're back in the action. Eric Alexander Maleta here on the call. Mark Vasquez, our producer here tonight for this audio-only broadcast. But right now, all the attention on the two teams on the field. Dripping Springs left their runner at second base in the last inning. Did have an opportunity in the first as well, but the defense from PSJA as well as the pitching able to get themselves out of it. PSJA, we'll see the 7, 8, 9 coming up. Ethan Olivares, George Castillo, then Nathan Pena. Nathan Pena had his time busy there at second base, saw himself get 2 outs to pop up, then a routine ground ball. But was Ethan Olivares, the third baseman, going to be able to come up with? And Olivares had some good hits yesterday, and this is one thing that we know from this bottom portion. They're not going to get cheated up there at the plate. They're going to find a way to continue putting tons of pressure onto Coxer on the mound. But for Olivares, the last 2 leadoff batters for PSJ have seen a total of 2 pitches. Yeah, 1 for each. So I would say you got to have to change that here. You don't want Cox to be up there and having an opportunity where he's just grooving, he's kind of going through, and looks like, well, at least see a second pitch here to lead off man. Well, first pitch, that's going to get hopped on in there for ball number 1. 1-0 count here for the lead-on man. Olivares going to see what he can find, but will be a low strike there. 1 ball, 1 strike here. Oh, and this is where Olivares, I like this. Look for a first pitch strike. You saw a lot of that yesterday. PSJA, they're making Sanders being able to go to the long portions of those at-bats, as outside part of the plate won't see itself get much. As it will just see itself be a ball. 21 to count now. Olivares had a shot yesterday with runners on, then saw himself be able to get walked, but a high fly ball down to the first base side, able to sidestep out of the way, but all eyes on the target there. That's going to go for out number 1. And a great job for this pitcher to be able to get that pop-up. I really felt Olivares was working well into that count, and he wasn't giving him anything really to be able to say, all right, I'm helping you out, but a breaking pitch, just got under it a little bit. You live with those. As you will bring up George Castillo, the pitcher, hitting for himself tonight. Yeah, and that's kind of where, as a pitcher, especially a lefty, you're trying to say, I need to help myself. I need to be able to get on base because I know a runner's coming in for me for a courtesy. So, speed coming onto the bat for me, I just need to get there. Well, trying to see himself get at least 60 feet down the way. Castillo watching it for pitch number 2 here. That one on the outside part of the plate will go in there for strike number 1. Now, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out now. And the big pitch inside low. Did it hit him? No, it did not. Yeah, this is kind of where we're saying, sell it. Sell it. I don't mind it. Anyway on. I'm there for it. Play the game inside the game. Oh, Olivares saying, you're not taking the bat out of my hands right now so quickly. And a high fly ball down to the left field side, sailing towards a warning track, but it will be caught for out number 2. And a bigger ballpark than yesterday, but a ballpark PSJ is used to playing in. 320 on the corners, I believe, for PSJ. 330 at their park, 400 down the center. So, high fences at the very least here at Coastal Bend College. But one more PSJ. They're saying base hits is all we need. Someone goes yard, that'll be great. But right now, Nathan Pena on the 9-hole, currently up to the plate. Oh, and this is where you're seeing Pena. He's had opportunities, and he hasn't seen maybe 2 pitches to hit as the ball on the outside part of the plate will go for ball number 1. Oh, That one, the other batter's box, just yanked it a bit too much there. And a good job watching here for ball number 1. Ball on the turf. Going to go for a quick 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 outs here in a 0-0 ball game between the Tigers and Bears. Yeah, oh my. It's going to be one where I'm looking for another potentially low-scoring affair. We saw a lot of low-scoring affairs last week against Westlake, if you all remember that. And it's going to be a war of attrition. Who can come out here and find a way to get some big hits? As a high fly ball, the center part of the infield, the shortstop, and second base territory, going to be able to haul that in. Going in for out number 3. That's going to leave the 1-2-3 coming up for PSJA at the top of the 4th. But right now, down to the bottom of the 3rd. Yeah, bottom of the 3rd. And Dripping Springs, they're going to see if they can get runners on again. Have been able to do it both in the 1st and 2nd. So they're saying, hey, if we can see ourselves do it here again and continue finding ways to just get those opportunities, because once they do, they will come. But what will find itself being the overall outcome of this one, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying the broadcast, hit the subscribe button, leave a follow. We're growing every single day. We need your help to continue doing it. And make sure to smash the notification bell so you know when we go live for all our sports action. And a little reminder, game number 2 for PSJ versus Katy softball. Katy last night was able to win 2-0. Tonight's game, Javi Martinez, Edgar Hernandez currently be working that event for game number 2 at Cabnes Field at 7 p.m., and you don't want to miss it. Right when this game ends, that game should potentially start. So, you can stay on the channel for as long as the entirety of the night. Oh, hey, they're saying you're treated to both baseball and softball. You couldn't ask for more. Well, couldn't ask for more. But right now, PSJ and continue asking for George Castillo just to do his job, do what he needs to do, and that's get opportunities to help this defense get some good outs. And as much as we talked about strikeouts, and he had a big one when there was 1 out, especially with a 3-2 count, was able to strike him out off a curveball, and that kind of led to that little easy round ball to Benya. But this is where you're trying to say those are what we need you to do. We don't need you to come out here and try to do too much. Just do you. Well, that is how both these teams have made it through, and it's kind of saying you don't need to change up what you've been doing. You just need to continue finding ways to pick up the opportunities and capitalize. But, for PSJ, trying to capitalize on some momentum yesterday. Great hitting affair for themselves. And, they saw themselves getting some early runs. And that's kind of where you're saying, hey, we did that against the Ace here for Dripping Springs. But we did notice that was a pitcher who pitched in Game 3 last year. So it's one for some of the returners here for PSJ. They saw him, yes, 365 days ago. But, it's where you're saying, okay, I kind of have some recollection of what this guy does. But now all new pitchers for the most part here for Dripping Springs. So PSJ still trying to go into that notebook, trying to see what they can jot down to try to ace the next question. That's going to be potential at-bat for themselves. But right now, the at-bat for Dripping Springs, this is going to start things off here. Fresh count for the 9-hole and Cody Sanders. As first pitch in the turf, we'll go for ball number 1. Yeah, 1 ball, no strikes here. And Sanders yesterday, we saw him start the day. He moved out to right field after he came out, and he continues having that bat in his hand. And this is where they feel confident that he can put a big spark here at the bottom portion of this lineup. Well, currently, the 9-1-2, Sam Brennan and Jake Perdue, currently waiting in the wings here for Dripping Springs. That's 2 balls, no strikes. This one, Nathan Pena has to show the range. The Jeter throw, not in time. Hey, I love it. I like it. That's kind of where you're saying, hey, all right, we didn't get the out there, but you're showing off your range. And it's such a tough throw, especially across your body like that, working towards the middle of the infield and having to turn back to first base. And for Dripping Springs, that's going to allow them to get the lead man on here. Well, I've seen 3 innings with runners on. PSJA going to have to now work through the top of the order with Dripping Springs. And, their speed here, especially for the leadoff man. And it's kind of one of those where everyone in this team potentially knows the bunt's coming down. As the bunt squares up off the side of the thigh of Brennan. Well, and that's just where you're saying, okay, not how we wanted to get going there. And that was a lefty doing the curveball. Just never saw itself breaking back. And we do see a quick conversation for the infield for PSG High. Well, quick conversation. Now 2 runners on. 1 runner in scoring position there at second base, but a runner at first and second. Infield has to go 3, try to get the lead runner out, and try to see if he can go across the diamond for a double play there. If that's the opportunity, or even up the middle, but you always want to try to get that lead runner out. You want to make sure they're as far away from home as possible. Well, as far away from home right now, 120 feet. As George Castillo watching in, a bunt opportunity inside part of the plate for a ball. Oh, man, that one a little too close for comfort. You saw him pull back on the bunt attempt, and unfortunately, that's just going to get called in for ball number 1. Well, 1 ball, no strikes here. 2 runners on here at the bottom of the 3rd inning, and the bunt down the third base line. First base, and a beautiful throw. Actually, no. I had to come off the bag there, and unfortunately, Castillo, across his body, he was unable to get the runner from third. And because the runner's at second base, the third baseman has to play back because he has to get that bag. First baseman has the priority on the bunt, but a hard bunt down the third baseline gave him no chance. Castillo tried to see if he can swing it back around for an out, but now bases loaded. The Tigers right now in an opportunity to pounce. Currently have 2 hits to their name. Yeah, what a chance and what a bunt. And that's just saying we can play small ball if we need to, and we're going to come out and be able to use it when we can. And right now for PSJ, it may be the day for George Castillo. Yeah, we do see Gael Zambrano kind of waiting out there, and they may have him stay out a little longer. Yeah, you never want to bring in a reliever really with bases loaded. And just it's where the confidence is. 1 run gets through, and now all of a sudden you say, wait a minute, I let that one in. I just came into this ball game. Even if a walk, even if a hit, however it is, you want to make sure he comes in with a bunch of fortitude. And, for PSJ, now bases loaded, infield playing in, play at the plate now for the force outs. Yeah, this is where you're playing the run. They're willing to give up anything over their head, but you got to keep everything in front of you here. Well, outside, that's going to go for ball number 1. Well, 1 ball, no strikes, no outs, runners all around, and a 3-hole hitter for Dripping Springs. And this one, it will be fair. That's going to bring in 3 runs, runners all over into the deep part of the corner. And they keep the runner at third, only able to get 2, but 2 is all they needed. A double coming through for Dripping Springs. And that ball just saw itself get lodged into that corner of the field here, and just unfortunate. Was not able to track it down quick enough. And a beautiful hit leads to some great runs here for the Drip. Well, the Drip trying to turn the faucet on and see if the floodgates open, but for Dripping Springs here, the 4-hole hitter with 2 runners in scoring position. Anthony Delgado, the right fielder tonight. Going to see what he can get. No balls, no strikes, no outs. Ball upstairs into the upper portion of the plate. Won't get called. Man, and those are at the letters of the chest. And we always talk about the strike zone, knee to chest, and sometimes some umpires might do belt to chest. And it's one where you're still trying to figure it out, but I think for Castillo, just hasn't been getting some of the calls he potentially would. Is this going to be a play at the plate? Down all the way home in time. We'll leave the runner there. What an arm there by the right fielder here for PSJA in Matthew Suada. Suada, due to that throw, was able to now allow the run to get creeped in. They will go for out number 1. As the righty stepping up here, and the 5-hole, and Cruz McBride, the designated hitter here this evening at beautiful Joe Hunter Field. And a foul ball back for strike number 1. And for Castillo, come on, you can do this. You believe in yourself. Your team believes in you to get out of this jam. And they just say, put us back to the bats. PSJ, yes, they haven't had too many hits so far, but, as this game goes along, they're going to start seeing something they like. As no balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Curveball, no. Yeah, it passed through the zone pretty, but I think the finish of it was just a bit too low, and that's just going to go in for an even count now. Well, 1 ball, 1 strike. Castillo waiting in on delivery. The PSJ fan base starting to cheer. High. Big hopper in time at first base for out number 2. Well, because of that big hopper, that allows for that runner from third base to get in easily. Unfortunately for PSJ, just could do nothing but wait. And at the very least, you're able to get an out. Well, able to get out 2, but a runner still at third base. 1 runner on right now for Dripping Springs. Have been able to move around the base runners. A big shot towards the line of left field is what opened things up for themselves. The ball upstairs will go in there for ball number 1. Yeah, ball number 1, 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs here. And the sun's starting to peek out. As PSJ trying to see if they can get a quick pop-up. The pop-up will happen, but we'll just go behind the backstop into the parking lot. Oh, a little heads up. We've seen a couple windshields be cracked and broken throughout the playoffs. And that's kind of where you're saying, why are you parking so close to the field? I understand you're trying to get walking distance, but maybe just take your steps. Save yourself a couple bucks there on the windshield. We'll try and see if he can continue doing some good work. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs here. Castillo working the delivery. And a curveball. Yes, sir. That's in there for strike number 2. Ooh, you saw the plate umpire. He was about to ring him up until he realized, wait a minute, that's 2 strikes. Got a little ahead of myself. Well, hopefully he has a crystal ball back there so he knows what potentially is going to be called in this next pitch. And with 1 and 2, I really doubt a strike's going to get put in here. I don't know how aggressive we'll see Castillo be. You've seen him kind of go to the outside part of the plate in the other batter's box in this situation. And the ball upstairs will be called for a ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, playing the eyes. So Castillo has done this quite a bit. He goes upstairs, especially mid part of the plate, then attacks down low on the outside. That right there is just to help himself confuse this batter to say, hey, it's a lot farther than potentially you may think it is. And a curveball ripped into the bullpen of Dripping Springs. That one just going to get belted foul. Well, that's just a long strike. You don't even worry about that if you're Castillo. You're saying, hey, still got 2 strikes up there. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Deuce is wild here at the bottom of the 3rd. Currently a 3-0 ball game. Dripping Springs open things up in this inning. And a ball to turf, that's past him. The runner from 3rd will move in freely. That's going to put in 4 runs now. And that's actually not even Zeke Garza's fault. That ball hit on top of the plate and just had a crazy bounce. And PSJ down by 4 here. This is what tests the mentality of a championship team. Well, both these 2 teams saw great work. And the ball upstairs, swing and a miss for strike number 3. But 4 runs still coming in here at the bottom of the 3rd. Dripping Springs currently leading, but the Bears going to go back into the bats. Dripping Springs 4, PSJ 0. We're going to go to a quick commercial break here on KTRI.
Have you noticed bad behavior has become normalized at interscholastic athletic events? Some fans seem angry. They lack civility toward one another. Some even get aggressive and unruly. Time out! What is going on? This has to stop. Let's not forget, school sports aren't just about winning. And they're definitely not an excuse to take your frustrations out on the official or the opponent. They're about teaching lessons like perseverance, respect, and empathy, so students can learn and grow as people, not just as players. We all have a role to play in setting a good example for our students and teaching them these important values. So fans, it's time to step up your game and behave positively at interscholastic athletic events in Texas.
This message presented by the UIL and the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association.
Well, the broadcast continues. The start of the game here, ladies and gentlemen, here at Coastal Bend College. Home of the Cougars, but tonight, hope of a regional championship. PSJ last night were able to win 6-1 in 7. Right now, Dripping Springs currently winning 4-0 as we get to the top of the fourth. PSJA will have the top of the order coming up. Yeah, and it's kind of where, for PSJ, you kind of get a restart. They've had a lot of opportunities here to start from the 1, 2, 3, and you don't get that many opportunities in a game, but it kind of shows how well the bottom portion of the lineup has been able to play to be able to get to the 1, 2, 3. Usually, like we mentioned yesterday, we usually see like maybe the 9, 1, 2. We saw Dripping Springs have that their last time up, the 2, 3, 4. But no, when you start with your leadoff man, you know, it almost kind of saying, hey, we know what our job is. We know how we want to get going, and they have some big backs coming up. Well, coming up right now, James Cancino, the center fielder, going to have his second attempt here versus Cox. Yeah, so this is kind of you're saying, hey, I've seen you, but actually you only saw one pitch. So if I'm Cancino, this is where you're kind of really having to talk to the rest of your teammates to see what you like, as the blow outside pitch will be called in there for strike number 1. Now, we said it. We brought up the statistics yesterday. Being able to come in here and throw a first pitch strike, only 4% of batters in the major leagues really see themselves swinging at those type of pitches. So, it's uber crucial to be able to start off ahead of the count. But this one too far down. We'll just go for ball number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, even count here to the leadoff man in Cancino. Currently, TJ Ayala waiting on deck as the PSJ fan base starting to get active, starting to get loud, and a curveball gets put in a major way for strike number 2. And a decent pitch there. And I think for Cancino, when you kind of ask him potentially, hey, what do you want to hit? Oh, something that could drive here. Well, we'll see if he can drive anything. And a quick swinging and a foul tip back into the glove of the catcher. We'll go for out number 1. And Cox right now, he's wheeling and dealing. He's at the roulette table, but saying, hey, the chips are on my end, and I'm trying to cash in. We're trying to cash in, cash out. 1 out. TJ Ayala, a big batter here for PSJA. Has had some good hits. Did so last week, but still feeling he has more in the tank to give. And that's going to go for a high ball number 1. Yeah, Dripping Springs, their fan base didn't like that, but that's kind of what PSJA was kind of feeling with their pitcher was up there. Those balls are right at the letters, but it's kind of where you have to work it a little bit more down. Well, working into the hands, handcuffs him. Going to go for a foul ball. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Ayala, the senior, as well as starting shortstop. And he's had some big plays on the field, and that's kind of where you're looking at him in this moment. A curveball inside, will be able to get around it. And that he has the fortitude to really make it happen. Well, having to continue working. Fresh ball's up there. Yeah, it looks like we may have ran out. And for Dripping Springs, that's kind of where you're saying, hey, I was comfortable with that one. Blake Cox may be saying, can I get it back? But back in the action. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. JT Reyna on deck here for the Bears. And the big delivery, fastball upstairs, will not be able to go too high. We'll bring this now to even. 2 balls, 2 strikes here in the top of the 4th. Dripping Springs open to the floodgates there in the bottom of the 3rd to be able to see themselves get 4 runs. PSJ, in my opinion, just need 1 to get on the board. Yeah, you just want to take the 0 off, and you do not want to allow this team to get too far away too quickly. But PSJ is the team that knows that they can continue building late into innings. Well, kind of have to have the hard hat on. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and a foul ball backwards. Had the entire front row snapping back. Well, that's one where you're saying, heads up, we got a fence, but man, that ball gets onto you quickly. Well, Ayala trying to put it back the other way. We saw PSJ. One thing that really loved from them yesterday was their ability to hit right back up the middle, find open spots in the outfield, and not really allow for the great gloves of Dripping Springs to even have a chance of being able to come up with anything. And a low ball on the turf. The first runner on now for PSJA. There you go. And PSJ, they were looking for that, and for themselves. You haven't had too many chances. I don't think they have had any chances tonight with a runner on. And for JT Reina, may have spooked this team yesterday, especially with a runner at first base. Yeah, no, two-shot home run is what he was able to produce. And when you bring up 2 runs there, it's kind of one where you're saying, all right, well, we don't mind 1, but 2, it's a lot. But Reina, first pitch. Curveball, that one rolled on softly. Will be a throw to first base. Will be in time. They allow TJ Ayala to move on to second as Jesse Garza gonna get his second attempt. Oh, now a runner in scoring position. Garza puts us in a gap. That first run more than likely scampers through. And, with the speed of Ayala, you can more than count it. But we'll see what he can kind of come up with. Well, looking for a pitch. It has to be perfect here with 0-0. No balls, no strikes. Ayala at second base. Garza watches in there for strike number 1. And a fastball outside part of the plate. Able to get launched in there for a strike. And that's something that we've seen a lot from Blake Cox is his opportunities to start off ahead of the count. That's what made him special so far. Well, making it special, ball low, will be picked up by the backstop. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs now. Runner still at second base. Jesse Garza saw himself with an opportunity. Runners on yesterday. Believe he ended up getting walked. But now a person at second, he's saying this is what I dream of. And no, he did not. That one, bat held back. No swing as that ball going to go low inside for ball number 2. Yeah, and in this righty, the way he's attacking Garza is straight into the hands. He's throwing everything in there to try to see if he can get something weak. Because they know if Garza barrels it, you might see that ball gone. Well, or will we see this pitch come? 2-1 here for Cox. Big delivery and hit on back. Foul ball. That's the go for strike number 2. Well, Juice is wild here. The top of the 4th. This game has been going quickly. It has one where, it's starting to look like a sprint, not a marathon. Yesterday, I kind of feel like we dragged out a little bit. We had chances for both these two teams to kind of embrace into the moment. But Dripping Springs said, we're not working slowly today. We're working quick. Well, trying to work quick. 2-2. Turning the count. Garza trying to stay alive here. And a high fly ball left field side. This one foul ball territory will be caught for out number 3. PSJA, they leave a runner at second base, unable to bring him through as they're currently down by 4 right now. Blake Cox has been the man on the mound, has been dominating so far, has not allowed for too much to really allow for PSJ to hit. And PSJ hitless so far. You're hitless 2-3 of Dripping Springs, and that's all Dripping Springs needed. And for the Bears, gonna have to continue seeing what can George Castillo do. What can George Castillo do? And what's gonna be the narrative? And if I'm PSJA, I'm potentially. I know we saw Gael Zambrano warming up earlier on, but do you want to keep him in your back pocket if potentially the game happens to happen? Well, those answers, we saw Zambrano come in to close it yesterday, and that may be the aspect. If they need to finish it, they will. And he's more than capable, more than willing to. And, we talked about for the sophomore. Yesterday did a great job. But for George Castillo, you have to continue keeping this team on your arm, on your shoulders. Yeah, and this is where for George Castillo, yeah, you allowed 4 last inning, but that's past you. That doesn't matter anymore. You know that you just do your job, find ways to get up there They started off well. Yeah, the big issue is that he's started with the first pitch ball, and from there, these hitters know that, hey, you have to come right back inside if you want to even get back into this count. And they've been able to watch on, be able to foul ball some great pitches here, and especially some deep pitches. Yeah, there's some balls that you see just get launched, but that's kind of where you're saying those are just long strikes. I can't worry about that. I just got to worry about what I can, and that's just being able to continue pitching my game. But Dripping Springs, this team, they took game 2 in the third quickly, and this is kind of where they saw the Bulls by the horns, and they took it. Were able to be opportunistic with some big base on balls, and they left a couple runners on back in the first 2 innings, but we said it. That's only going to last for so long. And the boys in maroon and white for Dripping Springs currently stepping up to the plate here. Yeah, stepping into the plate, stepping into the box. PSJ, you can start getting set here. The 7-8-9, Bobby Wilkinson leading things off. First baseman here for the Tigers. And first pitch delivery in there. Oh, wow, for a ball. That right there, that's very interesting to see. And not much you can say about it. Well, not much you can say about it, but a good pitch in there for strike number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that one was just for Castillo. He put that over the heart of the plate. And he just says, hey, man, I'm going to see if I can just sneak this one by. And he did. So now even things up. Well, 1 ball, 1 strike. Curveball back up the middle. That's going to go for a base hit. And that's what happens, when you kind of get squeezed by an umpire. You kind of half try to work in here. And, unfortunately, Castillo, a totally different mindset 0-2. Even 0-1 than it is 1-1. But, good hit here for Dripping Springs. Well, Dripping Springs, good hit. We're able to get it going. We'll bring up their next man up here. The runner at first base have been able to get a base runner in every inning here so far. Cash Nelson trying to see if he can get into the register. As count, double play opportunity, bunt attempt coming. Curveball pulls the bat back. We'll go in there for ball number 1. Yeah, 1 ball, no strikes now. And for Castillo, very familiar territory for a lot of these batters here so far. A lot of these batters here, good eyes and done a good job fouling off. Very borderline pitches where if they don't, you might not see that happen. The ball inside will be yanked low for ball number 2. Hey, if you're going to bunt it, let them. You'll give up the bag right now because you need to at least get out number 1. Well, looking for the out. The runner at first base. Good lead there. You may see a check here. But will just be another bunt upstairs and go for 3 balls, no strikes. No, 3 balls, no strikes. This is more than likely going to keep the bat on the shoulder here for Dripping Springs. Yeah, I don't expect a swing. I know in the new age baseball, green lights here, depending on the batter, sometimes happen a little more often. But that one just going to get watched in there for strike number 1. Well, curveball in there for strike number 1. 3 balls, 1 strike. Double play up the middle here for the Bears. That's Castillo. What will he come up with? Showing the bunt again. Wow. Okay, that was a ball. Yeah, there's no way. I really don't see a world where that's a ball, but unfortunately for Castillo, that might just do it. Well, Coach Guajardo coming out here onto the mound. Similar position where Castillo saw his night end last week. And now we'll see what this conversation is. We do see one man in the bullpen here for the Bears. Does not look like Zambrano. And actually, as we say that, Zambrano does walk into the bullpen. Yeah, so may not be his time, but maybe someone else's. As George Castillo will see himself walking back into the dugout. Well, walking back into the dugout, that might end his night. Not sure if he'll go back to first base, but they do have JT Reyna there. Well, you do see an exchange of gloves, so that might happen. Reyna for sure is not coming out. That's a bat that you want to make sure you still have. And we'll see who they elect to come out, and it does look like Gael Zambrano will go out to right field now, so he has entered the game. I believe now the right fielder, Matthew Aswada, will come into pitch now. Well, so now this is where you have to warm up right in front of everyone, and that's kind of the opportunity that you get when you're a relief pitcher, but you're just a PO. You can be the bullpen. You can kind of get your pitches kind of in your own little comfort space, be able to get it ready for what's to come, but having to work quickly. We'll see what Aswada can do. Yeah, and I like this pick here, and I feel for Aswada is going to come in confident and knowing that, hey, there's no pressure for this game here for yourself. All you got to do is go out there and let the defense work. Well, when you're down 4-0, that's kind of where you're saying, hey, you don't need to get into your head. We're already down right now. Just go in there composed. Play like it's 0-0. Play like you're free. Play like in your backyard. Well, going to try to play some catch there with Zeke Garza. Aswada right now. Not too much stats for himself for the pitching. Yeah, that's kind of what happens when we get into the playoffs. And even for Dripping Springs, everybody starts turning their stats off max preps. And it's kind of where you're saying, hey, I want to know what you guys do, but you never want to give it a scouting advantage to another team, especially this deep into the playoffs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, remember, still deep into the playoffs, PSG High currently playing Katy tonight in softball at 7 p.m. at Cabinets Field. Javi Martinez calling that game. Edgar Hernandez going to be the producer. And last night, Katy were able to take the win. 2 home runs is what the difference was in a 2-0 ball game. And, PSG had opportunities, were not able to capitalize. And this is kind of where they're saying, hey, it's a different day, a different outcome. We'll see if that happens. But for Matthew Aswada, they're going to have a couple more pitches. Believe has 2 more until we'll see the next batter for Dripping Springs have their chance. And I feel for Aswada in the playoffs. Well, the last couple of weeks, we have not seen him, or at least not last week, I do not believe, against O'Connor. So for himself, this could be his first appearance here. Yeah, and we're better than the regional championship. And this is where you train all summer long, all off season, throughout the winter, and to be able to play this long. And I think for both these two teams, being able to show what that hard work looks like. And both these two coaches, they had a conversation. They had both the same story when we talked to them. They saw each other at the coaching conference in January, and they had a conversation saying, hey, how great would it be if we saw each other for a rematch? And they said if we got this far, that means we're both doing something good. But Coach Fajardo said, I didn't expect this matchup to happen. It's so difficult to get here, but the fact that we had a similar road and we're in this moment makes it all so much special. We're starting to see rivalries. We're starting to see rematches happen this deep into the playoffs, and that's what makes these games that much more great to watch. Yeah, you see these young athletes, these 15 to 18-year-olds out here on the field, and we always say every week is the biggest game of their life, and especially here in the playoffs, they always want to be able to represent for that team on their chest here. It's different than when you're playing travel ball, when you're kind of in an opportunity to not really be with your home team. And a quick bunt down the third base side. They pick it up there. And a beautiful bunt. Right now, Dripping Springs, they're just small balling PSJA. And that's kind of where PSJA is leading. And unfortunately, you kind of have to keep them honest. Because Dripping Springs, they have such great bats. You don't want to play too in where a shot kind of comes into you. But now with bases loaded, Dripping Springs have a huge opportunity to open up this score line. Huge opportunity to open up the score line. PSJA right now trying to get to the top of the 5th inning. We're still at the bottom of the 4th in a 4-0 ball game. Runners everywhere on the bases. And a curveball will go for a ball. Yeah, that's going to go for a ball now. And I like the fact he has an off speed here and a lefty-lefty duel, trying to go away from his barrel, but that's kind of where, for himself, you need to work back into that zone. Is able to hit the outside part of the plate there for strike number 1. Well, 1 ball, 1 strike. No outs here. Play at home for PSJ. Inside pitch, backs him up, almost hitting the batter. And you see the shortstop, TJ Ayala, he was trying to get Aswada's attention. Yeah, and I felt that they may have been able to kind of get that runner there. And usually when bases loaded, you don't see those fielders near you, you might start to be a little more lackadaisical and kind of see something kind of come your way that you may not expect. There's a good curveball in there. Strike number 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes right now. And this is where for Sam Brennan, the lead-on man, an opportunity where he really wants to get hold of something. Yeah, now full count and for Brennan. Leaving a strikeout here tonight. Last time up, but Aswada, first time seeing him tonight. As what will they throw? Curveball down to the second base side. Flip. Gets one. Too high. Reyna snags it. That does not allow for the runner from third to make it home, but it will not allow a double play, but they do get the runner off of second base for out number 1. Get the easy outs. That's all you're asking for, and they get it. Unfortunately, a great job by the runner to break up that double play, made it difficult on the throw, and just sailed on to Reyna a little too high. But Reyna showing off the athleticism, the leaping abilities, be able to snag it. Yeah, he loses that. That runner from third is home, and you potentially see a 6th run currently. And a 5-0 ball game now. 1 runner able to score off that last at-bat. And the Dripping Spring fans, they're starting to get going. And a throw! They caught the runner at second base. Sorry, at first base, taking off the second, but Aswada just misthrows it. Yeah, and that is going to allow for that runner at third to come home. And no, that runner at first, he's going to get all the way to third. So PSJ give up 2 now on errors. Yeah, the 4 last inning off walks, off a big hit, but right here, just off errors. Oh, PSJ infield playing in. Check 3, go 1. As a ball low, will go for ball number 1. The Bears right now trailing. The ball upstairs will go for ball number 2. Yeah, and they do have some movement there for themselves for PSJ. Andy Leal currently working over there. And the ball low will go for ball 3. Yeah, ball number 3. And actually, it looks like they might have another pitcher going. I believe they have Leal and one other. Yeah, we're unable to get a number there, ladies and gentlemen. We will update as soon as we can. But right now, an update. 3 balls, no strikes, 1 out in a 6-0 ball game. Runner at third base. Swada not trying to give this one up for free, but a ball upstairs just lost in there. Yeah, he kind of he tried to place it there, and unfortunately just could not find the zone. And this is usually what happens in these moments where you're going into your bullpen, and for Aswada, first time having to pitch here in the playoffs, and this is some key experience for him. Yeah, this is some experience that he is not going to be able to say, I want. Because, it's so tough. I think he's been a confident pitcher right now. It's kind of saying, hey, man, what more can you say about him? He's done it. He's come into this game, runners all over, had to battle through. And I don't think anyone wants to go through that. But he's saying, I'm mentally strong. I'm able to get through. That's going to go for ball number 1, though. 2 runners on at third and first. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. A bunt attempt. Will it come inside? Dripping Springs, they can potentially squeeze that runner from third. The way their bunts have been coming through, they have been to perfection. Yeah, no, their bunts have been spectacular. And that's kind of where we're talking about early on in our pregame was the fundamentals really going to shine out. And, to be able to bunt the ball well, that's a big aspect for a team. And that's going to go on foul for strike number 1. 2 balls, 1 strike. Double play up the middle. If they find a way to get it there, they will find themselves going back into the dugout. PSJA, that's all they want to do. Yeah, all you want to do is allow your bats to get going because your bats are what got you here. You saw some big hits and last week, and PSJA were down, if y'all remember, against Westlake, and they found a way to get 6 runs in the 6th and 7th inning, and that kind of will turn the tide. Yeah, when you're able to get 4 in the 6th and 2 in the 7th to push you ahead of a game, nothing feels better than that. But they really are going to have to get the long shovel here and try to dig themselves out of the hole. And a ball low. A great pitch. Going to send the runner down to first base here. Yeah, this is not much you can say, really. Yeah, not much you can say. Time call. PSJ going to have themselves coming out onto the field. Coach Wahardo maybe going back to the bullpen here. Aswada may see himself just go right back out to right field. Yeah, that's going to end his day. But, man, it's been it's tough to get calls here. It has been very tough. And PSJ right now just trying to see what can stick, what can work. Well, what can stick, what can work, that's still to come. Aswada getting all high fives from his team as he walks to the dugout, and that's good. Just kind of where you're saying, hey, there's still more game to go. It's not over right here, as it will be. Andy Leal, he's going to be coming in to relieve here. Dripping Springs had a similar aspect yesterday where in one inning they did see 3 pitchers come in to relieve. Like PSJ just want to go back in their dugout. And that's kind of where, 5 hits to Dripping Springs. But a lot of the runs that they've gotten have been off of walks. But we do see a righty coming in. We have seen 2 lefties for PSJ. So maybe a different arm slot here against Dripping Springs may work. And you're trying to say, hey, you all want this moment. You want to live up to it. I know you all can do it. Knowing they can do it, knowing they can get after it. PSJ High looks like they may have Gael Zambrano come back into the dugout. Aswada will go right back to right field. So, and, that's kind of where you're telling Zambrano, just get some rest, kid. Sophomore. And he pitched well yesterday, pitched well last week. And, I still feel he's ace in the back pocket. Yeah, it's kind of where you're saying he's at what if you have to go to game number 3. And I like the opportunity of not using him. Let him get another day of rest. And try to see if your bullpen can come alive here. And more importantly, can your bats come alive? Try and make this game interesting. Well, PSJ, we talk about how aggressive they are on the bats. This team is one where, man, it's one where you just have to just not look down and say it's over. And, a lot of teams in a 6-0 game, that can happen, but not PSJ. I expect the Bears right now to have that mental fortitude, and I feel for the coaching staff, have the coaching staff be able to bring them back in. Yeah, that's how you get this far, ladies and gentlemen. Great coaching. Not everything always goes your way, and when you're faced with adversity, do you have the championship mentality to get out of it and be able to come right back in a game to be able to get it done? Well, you're just kind of looking for them to be able to make it competitive here, and it kind of shows you kind of an aspect of what yesterday looked like in terms of how dominant the pitching was for the Bears, and tonight a dominant pitching for Dripping Springs. It's been almost 3 up, 3 down, except for that last inning for PSJ. And if you remember yesterday, by the bottom of the 3rd, we saw the top of the order again. Today, it took us all the way to the 4th to see the top of the order for PSJ. So, PSJ were able to get a couple more hits, but right now it's going to need more than a couple. You need a truckload, but you need to at least get 2 outs here. Well, 1 out for PSJA. Leal going to have his first time in the playoffs here tonight. As for Dripping Springs, the 4-5-6, Anthony Delgado, the right fielder, going to come up once again. I believe his 3rd time up this game. And a ball on the turf gets yanked. Zeke Garza able to come up with it. All right. Well, now you got your jitters out. We'll give you one. That's no big deal. Come back in and just do your job. Well, we did talk about the difference in the height of this mound. We're not too sure if that's playing a big part of it as well. And a strike on the outside part of the plate. That's going to get called for strike number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Runners all around the bases. PSJ force out anywhere, looking for a double play. Leal, quick delivery outside, will go for strike number 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes now. Leal, some good, mighty fastballs there on the outside to be able to get those strikes. Had an off speed for a ball. But a 1-2 count. Where will he put it? And a swing and a miss. Strike number 3. Leal able to strike out the batter here. Yeah, great job. And, that's kind of where you're looking at yourself to just say, I just need to find a way to find me. And, you're able to get Delgado out. Now you're going to have Cruz McBride. The 5-hole here with bases loaded. 2 outs now. Outside part of the plate. We'll go for ball number 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Starting to get late here at Coastal Bend College. Yeah, this inning taking a while. And, I'm expecting for PSJA, you got to be able to match that your next time out. You have to keep Dripping Springs on the field for a majority of the time. And good pitch there. That's going to get launched in for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs now. Infield playing normal here. Yeah, earlier we saw him playing in, but, now even with bases loaded, knowing that the force outs here for 2 outs, you don't have to play that aggressive on the defensive side. And a good block there by Zeke Garza as he stops potential pass ball. Well, Garza did a good job of keeping PSJ protected back there. And a great pitch. Wow, that's going to go for a ball 3. Yeah, the PSJ fans, they're not happy about that one. And, we try to be as unbiased as possible, but it's been what it is. Yeah, you don't want to be too negative out here. These Blues, they're human at the end of the day. And, sometimes these guys just say that's what he's giving you. Well, that's what he's giving you, but what will he get? 31 to count, 3 balls, 1 strike. And an inside pitch going to walk a run in. Well, all I can say is wow. Yeah, that really is all you can say. There really is no words to really describe it. And, PSJ just have not been able to find a strike. You see the umpire trying to hurry things up right now, telling the batter to get into the box. But, this inning, it's gone long enough. I don't think a couple seconds matter to that point. And a foul ball hit back. That's going to start things. No balls, 1 strike. Dripping Springs right now, 3 runs this inning for a total of 7 throughout this game. So a 7-0 ball game after that last runner walks on in. And the Go Bear Go chants, trying to get this team working. Yeah, that's kind of where we talked about how they put the energy into the battery pack of the Bears. And, rolled over there. That's going to go in for strike number 2. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs now here. The Bears are the away team. So Dripping Springs, no matter what bat lasts tonight, if needed, yeah, the PSA, they need to at least get to the 7 now to make that even a possibility. And they don't have much time to really get it done. As the ball on the other batter's box will not be swung on. That's going to go for ball number 1. Good eye there, not helping out Leal. As Leal, the 1-2 delivery. Fastball rings them up. Strike number 3. The 3rd out, but 3 runs come in no matter what. That's going to bring up a 7-0 ball game. Dripping Springs, the floodgates opening, but does PHM have the cement to try to close them down? Well, it's kind of where you're saying, hey, We got to find a way to put the dam out. And anything we can do, try to close those gates and put ourselves back on top. And it's going to be a battle. But I think PSG wouldn't want it any other way. We're going to go to a quick commercial break here, ladies and gentlemen. Top of the fifth, currently coming up. Dripping Springs, PSJA 7-0.
At PSG ISD, we take pride in being one of the few school districts in the region to offer our very own employee clinics. Enjoy access to high-quality medical services with a $0 copay for you and your family members covered under the PSG ISD medical plan. From chronic condition management, annual checkups, and flu shots to urgent care needs, our licensed physicians are here to keep you and your family healthy and thriving. Visit our locations in FAR at 1200 East Polk Avenue, Building G, or in San Juan at 1229 South Veterans Boulevard. Appointments for you and your covered family members can be made by calling 956-354-2170.
Top of the fifth, the Bears trying to get right back on top of things right now. Currently lost their grip in this tug of war. Currently Dripping Springs in a 7-0 ball game. 5 hits here for the Tigers, and if that's been enough to be able to push runners over. A big inning in the third with some quality hits, and then some runners walked on in here in the fourth. It's kind of been the narrative of the game, but for Zeke Garza, going to start things off for PSJA. PSJA currently hitless in this one. Still looking for their bats to come alive. Yeah, this is where you're looking for the bats to come alive, and you need them to kind of have an awakening here in this inning. Yeah, you do not want to wait till the sixth. It's already late into this game. And for PSJA, trying to see what they can grab. And a strike number one, that's going to go. Wow, okay. And whenever we say that, it's because that feels a little off the plate to what we saw in that last inning. And that's the only thing where it starts to get a little tricky when the strike zone starts kind of moving all over the place. And as a batter, you're just trying to see what you can find. And this pitcher thought he was going to get a strike call there. Asking if he went. I don't believe he did. Yeah, they're asking for some help. Wow, no way. Wow, okay. Well, 2 strikes now. No balls, 2 strikes, no outs here to the leadoff man in Zeke Garza. The catcher here has done it well. And a ball low won't go. That's going to be too low for ball number 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes now. Dripping Springs, led by Blake Cox, has been an extremely dominant pitcher tonight. Has really seen his name called and answered. And a swing and a miss. That's going to go low. Change up. Go for strike number 3. Yeah, great job there. You got yourself a good out off the leadoff man, and that's kind of been the difference. Dripping Springs have been able to get these swing and a misses. And for Cox, just saying, hey, I'm that guy right now. Well, is the guy right now, but for PSJ, we'll see their next man up in Matthew Aswada came in to relieve until he went back to right field. As ball number 1 there. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 out, nobody on here. Top of the 5th. PSJ back up, the shortstop. Had the range, but that hop right there was absolutely menacing. Yeah, that was one where it was a routine play, and maybe that extra hop wasn't able to work through it, but it just worked right into his chest. Not much that he could have done for. And actually, I'm not even going to blame the shortstop on that. It's just, the turf kind of had that extra little bounce. And that's kind of where, yesterday's turf field at Cal Allen, a different type of turf than Coastal Bend. And, Coastal Bend College, you have some great facilities here, but, just the difference in the winding of the turf, the difference in just the maintenance or whatever it may be, it can cause a little bit of discrepancies on what you're used to from yesterday. Well, did they say he went? I don't believe so. They're asking for help, but I don't think there's any help to give. And the conversation they want is help. And they're confused, Dripping Springs right now. They want to get the help, and they're not giving it. And it looks like for Blake Cox, he's got to get right back in there. Well, gets right back in. 1 ball, no strikes. Runner at first, takes off, and a foul ball back. That's going to have the runner retreating right back to first base. PSJA trying to move him to scoring position. Yeah, no, and PSJA, they need runs. You know, if it gets to a 10-0 ball game, especially here in the 5th, that's a run rule. That's a game over. So they know that the way Dripping Springs have been playing here in the 3rd and 4th, you need to get on the board just so you can say we can be able to play a little longer. Well, will that happen? We don't know. The throw back to first has his attention, but won't be able to grab the out. And a good job there by Matthew Aswada. Not getting 2 off the base. Yeah, and he's being a little more complacent. I think for that last one may have just been a hit and run. 1 step off the bag, and that's enough to get Blake Cox throwing to first. Well, not sure what the complaint is there. You see him confused about the call. Yeah, and it's kind of one where we don't even know what's going on. It's kind of where you may have to be on the field in the game to see it. The foul ball hit back. Good job here by Ethan Olivares to just get a piece of the ball, but that's twice where I feel that you saw Suada have a magnificent jump to be able to make his way to second base. And you see a conversation between the pitcher and the first baseman. They see those early takeoffs here by PSJA, and they may try to deceive him here. Yeah, I would not be surprised if I saw a throwback to first here in this situation. Oh, will the throwback to first happen? Doesn't seem like it may. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and a ball low outside on the curveball. We'll just go for ball number 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out now. Currently, the 7-hole hitter and Ethan Olivares watching on in. George Castillo, former starting pitcher, on deck here for the Bears. And a throwback to first, no siree. Yeah, close, but not close enough. And that's one where even I was sweating right here, saying, man, is he about to be able to get him there? He has a big lead, and you're starting to see Aswada kind of dancing over there, trying to see if he can throw him off his game. And I think over the last 2 steals here for PSJ that potentially could have gone, it's now in the back of the head of Cox. And a high fly ball. Will it stay in the park? It looks like it will. The catcher gets under it, grabs it for out number 2. Well, great pitching leads to an easy out. PSJA will now bring up George Castillo for his 3rd opportunity. Castillo waiting on in. You see both the coaches here for PSJ having a conversation. So will we see a pinch hitter? Yeah, so you see the conversation, and that might be the case here. And, looking on in, yes, Diego Alvarado will come in here, saw himself pinch hit throughout the playoffs here, so a very comfortable position. Yeah, I know he pinched it yesterday, pinched it against Westlake, and it's one where he doesn't mind coming off the bench. We always say coming off the bench to hit is one of the hardest things. So you're saying, I'm going in cold, but he's saying, I am hot this series. I'm hot this playoffs, and I want to be able to continue manning the flames here for the Bears. Well, the Dripping Spring fans on their feet, and right now, PSJ, they're just looking for something to cheer for, and 1 run is all they may need to come out the hibernation. So here, yeah, right now this is where you're saying, all right, spring's come, we got to wake up. And for themselves, it's just hasn't happened. Well, it does look like Alvarado will just go back into the dugout, may save him for later. Will this bring up George Castillo? No. Andy Leal. Oh, yeah, Andy Leal now batting. That's right. He came in to pitch, so he came in for George Castillo, so not taking over in his spot. We did see Alvarado there, but it does look like they're just going to hold on to him a little longer. Well, no balls, no strikes, 2 outs. Runner at first base. The start of this at-bat. The throw to first. Not in time. Has some mental real estate in the back of the head of Cox. Yeah, Blake Cox right now. I mean, you're talking about how great of an arm talent he's been. He hasn't given this team too much to hit, and PSG is such a great fastball hitting team, but that changeup he has been really different. Well, yanked into the turf. 1 ball, no strikes now, and another crucial aspect is Cox has been able to get out of quick innings. Yeah, he hasn't been exposed up there. No, for PSG, we said it. No, first pitch, outs for themselves for the first 3 innings was kind of not where you're hoping to be at. As a quick time call here from Leal, going to have himself kind of reset himself in the box. Well, looking to put himself back in a groove. Leal trying to watch here. Yeah, can they move the runner over? Good fastball in there, lively for out number 1. Sorry for strike number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs now. This has been one where PSJA, they've been in a war, and swing and a miss, a throw down to second, not in time. Wow. Well, he's out. They called it. That's going to allow for Leal to start the next inning. But unfortunately, PSJA get caught there, which very close play at second base. But ladies and gentlemen, still a 7-0 ball game. We go ourselves down to the bottom of the 5th. Dripping Springs right now. They are rolling. They're hot. The Tigers trying to show themselves and continue being a force to be reckoned with. And I know after yesterday's game, they wanted to put that out there. They weren't used to having those type of ball games, especially in game one of the playoffs. It'd be a 6-1. But for PSG High, it's now or never. It's now or never. You know, bottom of the 5th, and you need to get out of the inning without any runs here. I mean, the most you can give up is 2. You give up 3, game's over. You do not want to have this one end early for yourself. And continue fighting, as I expect Leal right now to continue fighting up on the mound. Well, Leal did a good job coming in as a relief pitcher back in that last inning. Saw himself being able to get out of the inning, which took some pitchers some time, but he was able to get the brunt of it. And it's where, for Leal, what have you come up with? What were the conversation like in the dugout? You had a chance to hit, but then kind of got put right back into the dugout off the steal attempt. So, hey, I just need to get back in the dugout, and I'm going to be the one to start things off. I get a chance to get my team an opportunity to really come back into this game. It's not going to be easy, but we wouldn't want it easy. Well, they don't want it easy, but they want to win. PSJA going to have to play out of their minds now for the rest of this game. Out of their minds, more importantly, they're going to have to get Cox uncomfortable. He has just been really the kryptonite so far. And after yesterday, we didn't know what the pitching situation was going to look like. We saw 5-6 pitchers throughout the entirety of that last game. And it looks like they kept Cox in their back pocket to say, hey, we still got a guy that's going to come out here and make it interesting. Well, he's made it interesting, but for Dripping Springs, it's been a no-doubter so far. No hits for him, but this is where, for PSJA, have given up 5 hits, and 7 runs has been given up. A couple of those runs coming in do a couple bases on balls, but this is where the pitching has not been able to find the strike zone. That's kind of the thing as well. Like, you don't get a chance to really see yourself get early calls. You're trying to bounce in and out of the zone, and you haven't really been able to fully pinpoint where it's at. And I think for PSJA, that's really been the difference. Well, trying to see if they can find the zone here. As PSG High ready to get going, ready to get set. Welcome to the bottom of the 5th inning here in the regional championship. PSG High looking to start off, as that's going to go foul ball, strike number 1. Off the thigh there of Zeke Garza. And unfortunately for Garza, we said it. He's been getting beat up there, and the ball feels that hits everything but your equipment. And it's he's saying, hey, I got my bumps and bruises. I've earned my stripes, and that's why we're wearing pinstripes tonight. We want to be able to show the type of team we are, and that's a statement. We always say, the Yankees, they're the ones that kind of pioneered that aspect, and we saw pinstripes for Dripping Springs yesterday. You have to be a great ball club to wear them. Well, great ball club both these two teams are, but that's going to go for ball number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike here for the leadoff man. PSG looking to get early outs now. And a swing and a miss. That one gone on by for strike number 2. There you go. 1 ball, 2 strikes now. And for Bobby Wilkinson. Now you see the 7, 8, 9 of the order for Dripping Springs up. This is where for Liao is trying to say, I don't want to see that top of the order until the next inning. Well, what will the next inning look like? Time to get there. And a beautiful breaking ball in there for strike number 3. Out number 1, Liao. Able to grab a K. All right, where did you come from, Liao? This is where, for a young player like himself to come in here in a regional championship and kind of take the ball and kind of take this team under his wing, trying to say, hey, we're going to fly high with me. We just need to find a way to mitigate the risk, mitigate the damage that Dripping Springs can kind of inflict. Well, trying to inflict what they can. Fresh count here for the next batter. And a high fly ball. Aswada out there in right field. Gets under it, grabs it. That's a go for out number 2. All right, there it is. 2 quick outs. Great job. There's not much wind, kind of blowing out to the left field side, and Aswada kind of noticed that, had that ball tailing back into him, didn't try to overrun it, allowed the ball to come to where he was, and that was enough to pick that one up. Oh, enough to pick it up, enough to put it down. This one will bring the next batter up here for the Tigers. Cade Sanders, his 3rd attempt in this ball game. Sanders, a tough out. And first pitch by Liao upstairs. That's going to go for ball number 1. 1 ball, no strikes here to start things here. And one thing I like about Dripping Springs, you're seeing how much they crowd that plate. And it makes a couple pitchers uncomfortable, especially the high school level, because you have to be perfect on your spots. You understand that an outside pitch potentially is going to be almost barreled up for anyone crowding that plate. You want to work inside a little bit, but that's kind of where Dripping Springs, they trust their hands to try to get around the ball. Could lead to some danger. So this is where the game inside the game becomes pivotal. Well, pivotal aspects. Bunt coming out will come in there for a strike. Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to try to put a bunt down, but that's kind of been the narrative, is expect the unexpected. Now, Dripping Springs, this game, they're willing to kind of play the small ball and early on, moving runners over, making the defense work, and more importantly, playing those bunts to perfection as a beautiful pitch won't not go for a strike. Man, the Bear fans aren't happy about it. But 3 balls, 1 strike. And a high fly ball. That's going to go behind the backstop for strike number 2. Full count now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here. Nobody on. In a 7-0 ball game at the bottom of the 5th inning, the Tigers, Sanders, the 9-hole. See the 1, 2, 3 coming up right after him. Now the good pitch in the dirt. 60 feet down he goes. PSA High, they walk a batter. And now, for themselves, the lead-on man who has started off this game in a hot way, Sam Branyan, the center fielder. And have an attempt here. And this is kind of where you're telling the middle infield, hey, force out at second base. If you have a chance to throw to first, sure, but get the sure out. Get the easy one. And the ball upstairs is going to go in there for ball number 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Branyan, a tough lefty here. As a runner at first, taking quite a good lead. Throws it over. Shot down to the center field side. Underneath it. Able to grab it. No runs coming through this inning. PSJ get out unscathed, but still down 7-0. We'll be back. The top of the 6th coming up here in the regional finals. PSJ Dripping Springs in an all-out classic.
Before the first bell rings, before the buses roll in, before a single pencil hits the paper, there's us. We are the first to arrive, the calm before the energy, the heartbeat of the district. Every student's journey begins with a hero, a real one, the kind who shows up every day, no cape, just purpose. This year we rise stronger. We lead louder, and we show the world what PSJ heroes are made of. Because not all heroes wear capes.
Hope you've enjoyed the action. It has been a game that Dripping Springs has held on to the entire way, but the pitcher for PSJ and Leal will see himself starting things off. The Tigers have had some great success off Blake Cox's arm, and Cox so far, he's just saying, hey, I'm coming in, I'm throwing heat, I'm throwing off speed, I'm finding ways to deceive these hitters who have not found a hit at all this game. And that shows you yesterday, PSJ out-hit this team 10-6, so 4 more hits. The difference yesterday was 5 runs, and PSJ High, good quality at-bats. One thing I liked yesterday that I haven't seen too much today is that it seems they're more aggressive on the bag, especially when they're starting off counts. I'm very surprised to see them swing at first pitch strikes because they weren't doing that all yesterday, and that allowed themselves to really put that pitcher for Dripping Springs up there on the mound and made them pitch to him. They might have left the first pitch strike here, but for the majority of the portions, they were in dominant hitting position, 2-1. 3-1. Even 1-1 counts is still where you don't mind being at, but it's been quick at bats, especially to leadoff batters who have seen a total in the first 3 innings. 3 leadoff batters saw 3 pitches, 1 each. So that kind of has to change here late in this game, especially knowing that this arm of Cox is still fresh. Last thing you want to do is keep Cox under the maximum of 115, or you might see him tomorrow. Yeah, we saw that happen last week with Zambrano, where he saw himself relieving and starting in Game 3. Yeah, he relieved in Game 2, then came in Game 3 to pitch around 3 to 4 innings. So we don't want Cox to have that type of performance. And a ball outside, we'll just put that at 2 balls, no strikes now. 2 balls, no strikes, and with Leal on, and he will have a courtesy runner if he finds himself going down the first base side. And a good ball in there for a strike. 2 balls, 1 strike. Small movement in the bullpen of Dripping Springs. They may just be getting someone ready just in case. And I think they're not prepared to pull Cox, but they're prepared just in case if they see maybe 2-3 runs come in this inning. Well, foul ball. That's going to even the count up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. No outs here. For the lead-on man for PSJ, Leal watching in upstairs for ball number 3. Yeah, that one missed out. And now full count. Leal, anything close, you got to go. Well, having to protect at the plate now. What will he come up with? And a foul ball back. Going to keep this thing at 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nathan Pena currently waiting on deck, followed by James Cancino. So 8-9-1 up for PSJ. As Leal back up the middle, shallow center field will be caught for out number 1. And a good play there. Felt that it may drop, but just hung in the air just a little too long. And that's all they needed to be able to get underneath it. And that's PSJ right now. We'll bring up the 9-hole hitter, Nathan Pena. The second baseman had a very busy inning at the start of this game. Yeah, I believe the first, second inning, he saw himself get the last 2 outs of those innings. So, he's been working on the defensive side. He wants to put some work here at the bat. Well, the Dripping Spring fans, they're starting to cheer. They're starting to get after it. And a foul ball backwards has the entire front row switching back again. That ball was hit hard there. I know Nathan Pena kind of felt he could have got all of that one, but it's just going to bring up an 0-1 count. Well, delivery. Curveball back to the pitcher. Look what I found. Look what I got. Out number 2 coming through. Wow. That's just one where he was falling off the mound. His glove was in the perfect position for it and was able to extend, reach, grab it, and get that throw at the first. Well, got the throw, got the out. Now you got James Gancino, the center fielder, up to bat. 2 outs for themselves at the top of the order. PSJA, one thing they've done has been able to get 2 out rallies, but can they rally here? It's not if, it's you have to. When it happens, if it happens, it's got to happen. You see yourself late in the ball game, top of the 6 here, and for Dripping Springs, they go to the bats. They see PSJ with 1 more at bat. They get 3 outs. That's ball game, and I know for PSJ, they at least want to put a run on the board. Last thing you want to do is leave a goose egg. Well, Blake Cox, delivery in the turf. We'll just go for an even count now. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs still. And a good shot. That one will go right through. PSJA have a base runner on here. Well, first hit of the ball game. What a chance that was. And for the Bears, anything positive is what you're looking for. And now you have TJ Ayala up. TJ Ayala, this is that moment where we said he's due. And a curveball on the turf. Good block there by the catcher. Go Bear Goes chance starting to come. Well, they need it. You give them a chance. You give them an inch. They take a mile. And a ball up into the helmet area of Ayala. Pushes them off the plate. We'll just go for ball number 2. 2 balls, no strikes here. Force out at second base here for the Tigers. As TJ Ayala will almost take it off the elbow. Ooh, man, we see a lot of people wear elbow guards nowadays, and that's one where if you're in the crowd the plate, you might as well want to put one on. Last thing you want to do is get a lump there. Well, nonetheless, 3 balls, no strikes. This will leave the bat on the shoulder, as they will call that one down the heart of the plate for strike number 1. 31 the count now. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Runner at first base here at the top of the 6th. And a swing and a miss. That's going to go for strike number 2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The Bears. Looking for anything close. That's where you're saying rip it, rope it. As that's going to go for strike number 3. Unfortunately, TJ Ayala thought that was too low for that one. They would get clocked through. Gets clocked for a strike. We'll go for out number 3. Bottom of the 6th inning, we go. PSJA, only 1 hit. Couldn't get much. And now the defense going to have to come out here once again and try to get out of this inning quickly. Well, you only have 3 more outs for yourself on your bats. And it's been a very, very quick game. And 6:24, I believe we started around 5 o'clock, so an hour and a half. Yesterday's game lasted 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen, to put that into perspective. So, half the time, but a lot of action here for Dripping Springs. And, for Dripping Springs, this is a game where they've really wanted to come in and, play well, have good opportunities, and they've been able to take up those opportunities. They had runners on every single inning in the bottom portions of those innings. The first inning they had 2, and second inning they had 1. And the third, they were able to bring in 4, and then the fourth bringing in 3. It got shut out last inning, and it's just been where they've been capitalizing. And one thing that's been impressive is their ability to play small ball. Yesterday, we didn't see the bunts come out, maybe because they were playing from behind, so they didn't have the opportunities to try to be a little bit more complacent. And today they were just saying, hey, let's just put this bunt down here. We don't need to try to hit away. Let's make this defense work. Let's see them try to make sure that everything's covered. And right now, for Dripping Springs, their fans starting to sing. They're trying to see if they sing themselves into the songs of victory. But PSJA, the comeback machine, I am expecting themselves to still feel that they're in this. Yeah, and that's kind of where you have to be. You can't feel you're out of this game whatsoever. You have to go into that top of the 7th and say, we got 1 chance, we got 3 outs. That's all we need. Well, right now, PSJA needing 3 outs to get themselves into that opportunity at the top of the 7th. Reminder, Dripping Springs get 3. That is the ball game, but the Go Bear Go's chance now seeing itself. And the hard shot down to Ayala. I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, he was, that's kind of the only issue. You see a ball coming to you, you saw him just playing in front of it instead of attacking the ball forward, and because of that, kind of just ate him up. Yeah, it just ate him up, and it took a weird hop, and we've seen 2 weird hops now at the shortstop position, one against Dripping Springs and one against PSJA, and that's kind of where you're saying things may be a little different than what you're accustomed to, as that will allow for the lead-on man on due to an error, but a double play up the middle for the Bears. The ball outside low will go for ball number 1. 1 ball, no strikes, no out. Runner at first base. Dripping Springs and a good portion of their lineup. As that pitch in there for ball number 2. And right now you see the 3-hole up, 4-hole right behind him, Braden Medley, then Anthony Delgado. Currently for Dripping Springs with a runner at first, and they've had some good games tonight. Yeah, they got some good hits tonight, and it's been a great game for both of them. And this portion of the lineup's been so scary. You see, they don't want to pitch to them. 3 balls, no strikes here. This is going to leave the bat onto the shoulder of this batter. Yeah, 3-0 means no, especially in this moment. There's no need to be aggressive. And a ball upstairs. We'll be able to get top portion of the plate. That's to go for strike number 1. 3 balls, 1 strike. Leal trying to wheel and deal. Try to see the house is on his side. And a foul ball hit gingerly down the first base line. That's going to bring up a full count. 3-2 here now. 3 balls, 2 strikes. PSJ looking for the first out now. And it'll be great to see Leal get off a strikeout. He's had a couple Ks here tonight in some big moments, but this one the biggest one. Oh, this one the biggest one. PSJ looking at full count. Runner taking off, and that's going to go too low outside for ball number 4. Well, 2 runners now on. PSJA play at third base. 3 then 1. Leal barely missed that last pitch. But now, Anthony Delgado, the cleanup hitter, showing bunt. Push bunt down the first base side. And wow. So what happened there for y'all listening in? And a hard shot, hard bunt, push bunt down the first base side. Reina comes up to grab it, tries to go for the tag. The runner able to get around it. Then a throw down to Peña, goes off the glove and falls onto the turf, allowing for the runner to be safe at first base. And those are the routine that you need. That's the hardest play in baseball for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. The ball in between first and the pitcher. Now those are where you work on that all the time. The high fly ball, that one's deep. Is it gone? And it is. That's going to be the ball game, ladies and gentlemen. 11-0. Dripping Springs, the Tigers ended off a home run. What a chance. They found what they needed, and they got it all. Reminder, PSJA softball playing Katy in game number 2. Last night lost 2-0. Need to win tonight to continue on the series. But it's not over, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, PSJ High still have another game to play, game number 3. We're at Cal Allen. So they'll send themselves going right back to where game 1 was. Yeah, and, tomorrow it's going to be one where you just got to bounce back. And unfortunately, you just couldn't get the pitching going for yourself, and kind of was one where you're hoping a little bit for more. But unfortunately, that's all you were able to get. And I like the way Leal pitched at the end. I think for Leal, he came in, had some bright spots. I feel, maybe they use him tomorrow. I know potentially it'll be Gael Zambrano pitching on that mound. But tomorrow, still trying to get the time here. as it will be at Cal Allen at 3 p.m. here in Corpus Christi, ladies and gentlemen. Come out, come support the PSJ fan base. We need you here in person tomorrow. We will see you all again. My name is Eric Alexander on the call. Mark Vasquez, our producer here tonight. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, we're growing every single day. We need your help to do it. But we'll see you all next time for some more PSJ High baseball action.